All right, so Ms. Spear, can you please call the roll?
Culprin. Here. Alvin. Friend. Here. Hoda.
Here.
Klein. Lunkins. Here. Smith.
Hey, listen, I'm on my way into the facility. I thought this was a Zoom meeting, so I'm coming into the school now.
Okay, Mr. Smith, I'm going to have to ask you to log out since this is a open meeting, and under the Open Meetings Act, you can only participate remotely under certain conditions. I don't believe you meet those conditions.
He said he was.
No, well, yeah, I'm coming into school now.
Okay, can I ask you to please log out of the meeting, please?
He is, he's logging out, he's coming here.
All right, thank you. And we are meeting in person at the Oak Park High School auditorium. Trustee Lunkins is joining remotely due to a medical condition. Trustee Lunkins, can you please state the city and state where you're located? You need to unmute yourself, please.
I'm at 13971 Kentwood, Oak Park, Michigan.
Thank you, Trustee Lunkins. And we have a consent agenda today, 2 items on the consent agenda. Any board member who objects can have either item removed from the consent agenda. Does any board member wish to remove, well, I'm sorry, before we do that, approval of agenda in order of business. Do any board members have questions about the agenda?
I do.
Trustee Corcoran?
Actually, it's not a question, but I wanted to put a motion to, to move to adjourn at 6:30 for the meeting.
Well, you're offering a motion at this point to adjourn the meeting at 6:30?
Yeah. At this point. To adjourn at 6:30.
I'm not sure I understand the motion.
Need the motion second?
To adjourn at 6:30. Is there a time on the agenda of when we are to adjourn?
No, we adjourn when we're finished with business, and
Okay,
based
so
on the
I put
agenda
a-
we have in front of us,
right, I have put a
we're going to be
motion to
adjourning well
adjourn.
before it's 6:30.
Right, the motion is to adjourn at 6:30. Do I get a second?
Okay. Is there a second for this motion?
Second it.
Seconded by Trustee Goodfriend. The motion is to adjourn the meeting at 6:30.
That's okay.
Trustee Corcoran, I'm trying to understand this motion for a second because I want to make sure this motion is in order. Are you asking to have a motion put onto the agenda? Because right now we're under approval of the agenda in order.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said if we had something to say. I'll wait till you're done with the approval of the minutes. I mean, not the agenda, I'm sorry.
Well, are you asking to add an agenda are you asking to add a motion to the agenda?
Chairman Hoda, I think you're confusing yourself. I actually put a motion on the floor just to adjourn at 6:30. If that is to move it, to move it to another part of the agenda, then so be it.
Is your motion that we don't adjourn before 6:30 or? I don't understand this motion. I want to make sure it's in order. Can you tell us more about what this motion is? The other board members seem to be confused as well.
Other, which other?
I'm confused.
So point of order would be, so you just, I put a motion on the floor just to adjourn at 6:30 because it could go over 6:30. I don't know if we finish before 6:30, that's great, but I was just wanting to put a motion on the floor. I already got a seconded, so I think there's a point of order with Mr. Hoda, which I'm just asking to have, if you need to move it somewhere else into the agenda, which that wouldn't be parliamentary, but however, my motion is to adjourn at 6:30.
Can I make a suggestion? If you see that the meeting is still going on and you want to adjourn the meeting at that point, would you like to offer a motion at that point? I'm not familiar with a motion being offered to adjourn a meeting at a future time. Trustee Eldon.
It sounds like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that you want to fix the time at which to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That is correct, to
That-
fix the time when to adjourn the meeting, which would be at 6:30.
The motion is in order and it needs to be seconded and it can't be debated, but
It's already been seconded.
I was just
Oh,
giving
I'm
the whole procedure. That's okay. But, and it can't be debated. So if you want to take the roll, we can go through that.
Okay.
That's right, she's right.
Ms. Spear, can you please call the roll?
Cochran,
Yes.
Alvin,
No,
Goodfriend,
Yes.
Hoda,
No.
Lunkins,
Yes.
and Smith.
no.
Motion is defeated. And we move back to our approval of agenda and order of business. Do any board members have questions about the agenda? All right. Can I have unanimous consent then to approve the agenda? Is there anyone opposed to approval of the agenda? Seeing no objection, there is unanimous consent to approve the agenda, and we move on to our consent agenda. There are two items on the consent agenda. One is approval of minutes, and the other is approval of personnel actions. Do any board members wish to remove either of those items from the consent agenda for debate? Seeing none, the consent agenda stands, and I will ask for a voice vote to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's contract extension. And just to update the board, following the board's direction, I did contact our attorney, who is in conversation with our superintendent and her attorney. He would like to set a meeting with the board, to discuss the contract extension at some future time. I'm hoping that we can find a time that will work for the board members. And as soon as he tells me that he's ready to hold that meeting, once he completes the conversations and communication with the superintendent and her attorney, I will communicate that to the board, and hopefully we can find a time for that meeting. Is there anything else on that? Okay. So we move on to public participation. Trustee Lunkins, would you like to read that, please?
Which one are we reading now?
We're at
Which
public
one?
participation.
The audience participation?
Yeah, public participation.
Members of the audience are invited to participate at board meetings prior to the business portions of the meeting, following conclusion of report, and prior to adjournment of each meeting. You will be recognized by the board president and asked to give your name and address before making your comments. Please present a concise statement of your concerns. The board president may choose to limit your presentation to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may have the opportunity to do so. We thank you for your cooperation. We welcome you in our meeting. We welcome your input and appreciate your presence at our meeting. If any person with disability and special needs accommodation at the board meetings, at the board registration meetings, please contact the superintendent's office at 248-336-7705, 7 days prior to the day of the meeting.
Thank you. So if any member of the public would like to participate in the meeting by providing information to the board, you can do so now, either by stepping up to the podium here in the auditorium or by indicating in the chat or using the participants tab that you'd like to speak, and I will call on you. Please do limit your comments to 3 minutes. And also, please keep in mind that if you have questions, those are best addressed directly to central office or your building administrator so that they can address that directly. We do not engage in two-way communication during public participation. So if there's anyone that would like to participate, please indicate in the chat or using the participants tab to raise your hand. And I don't see any, so we'll move forward to information items. There are no information items at this time. We'll move on to communications and addenda. Once again, if there's anyone in the public that would like to participate at this time, you can indicate that in the chat or raising your hand using the participants tab. Is there any communications or addenda from members of the board? I do want to ask the board, we did, the board asked to have a meeting set up with the city to look at some of the properties that the city is asking us to consider for real estate development. We proposed a date based on what the city had available, and some board members were not available on that date. So can we set a date for that meeting? Are there constraints that anyone on the board has as far as being probably at 5 o'clock we could go, we could start at one of the sites and go from place to place and see what it is they're talking about and ask any questions we have?
That's fine.
Trustee Corcoran, did you have any constraints in terms of your schedule?
Are you still pursuing the August 9th date?
Well, you stated that wasn't
Oh, you're
convenient for
asking me
you.
what date would be, oh, I'm sorry.
So is there another, you said that didn't work for you, so I'm
Right.
looking for other days.
The 10th, the next day, Tuesday, at 5 PM, I think, right?
Let me take a look.
5 PM Tuesday.
So the 10th will not work for me. I want to make sure we give the city enough time to prepare for that as well. What about the 16th or the 17th? That doesn't work.
The 16th, you said?
Trustee Elvin said the 16th or the 17th won't work. How about the 19th?
Yeah, I could do that.
I don't think I'll be able to participate because thereafter that time I won't be available.
Okay, how about the
What happened to the 11th?
what's that, Trustee Lunkins?
What happened to the 11th of August?
The 11th, we could do that. I want to give, it's a little bit of a short lead time, so I want to give us some time for the city to prepare, but I can take a look at it. Does the 11th work for everybody?
What day is the?
It's a
on
Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
I won't be able to.
It doesn't work? 12?
You okay with the 11th?
The 11th, I'm sorry, the 11th does work?
No,
It doesn't.
not for Dawn.
I'm okay.
Okay,
Was it that the set date anyway? What was the original date?
the original date was the 9th.
The 9th. Okay.
So now,
So do you go to the 12th?
what was that, Trustee Lunkins?
Do you go to the 12th? Is that convenient for everybody?
There's the 12th.
What day did you say?
The
It's on
12th,
a Thursday.
I can do that.
that won't work for you, Dawn?
No, anything after the 10th will not work for me. So
Okay. Is it generally the end of the week does not work for you? Like Wednesday,
There
Thursday?
are a lot of plans after the 10th for me, that I won't be able to participate. So the 9th, the 9th, it'll be really close. I would be really late coming to that meeting, so.
Okay. So what about later in August, like the 23rd, 24th?
We did 6 o'clock, might that
You have a board meeting.
Yeah, we got a board meeting.
That's true. We have a board meeting. That's,
So why
thank
don't we
you.
just leave it as is?
You go in
Discuss-
September
yeah,
afterwards,
September.
whatever.
Or if we can make it.
Yep.
It's not, I'm quite sure. One of us can walk it through.
Yeah.
I'd be willing, now, after the initial, after the walkthrough, I'd be willing to just sit there and walk through it.
Trustee Corporal, what if we did the 9th at 6 o'clock? Would that work better?
1 second. The 9th at 6 PM. That's next. Nope, it's not gonna work. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just take your offer.
Yeah,
and
I'll,
just-
I'll,
yeah,
I'll, I'll walk through
I
it.
won't be here.
Take notes. So the 9th at
So we're back to the 9th at 5. Does that work for everyone? And we will,
Kind of question,
yeah.
is that a walkthrough?
Yes.
Yeah, so that will be looking at we'll start, if everyone's okay with that, we can start at Pepper.
The walkthrough won't work for me.
I understand.
Okay.
What would you propose, Trustee Lunkins?
Well, if there's a meeting or anything after the walkthrough, I can come in on Zoom for that one, but the walkthrough is not gonna work for me.
Right,
And as far as I know right now, it's not. If anything changes, I'd be more than happy to let you know. But as it stands right now, it won't work for me.
okay. Do you have,
But, I trust the board to make a referral or whatever needs to be done, or whatever comments that the board may make at that time. I trust the board for that.
I'm sorry, I had trouble hearing you, Trustee Lunkins.
I trust the board in making a decision. On that, even though I can't be through the walkthrough, to make a decision at each building and what needs to be done or what we're going to do.
Right, so we won't be making any decisions at this meeting. It'll just be an
Okay.
opportunity for the board to ask questions and to see the different sites that were discussed by the city at the last meeting.
Trustee Luckers, we'll take the walkthrough for you, okay? I'll be
Okay,
willing to do that for you, okay?
All right, so I will
okay,
reach to the city to see if that date still works for them, August 9th at 5 o'clock, and I will communicate that back to the board. Anything else from the board? Anything else from members of the administration?
I just wanted to thank the board for coming together on an evening that wasn't scheduled for a board meeting and in light of personnel and taking the time to come together this evening. It means a lot to us and I appreciate you all for being here tonight.
All right, thank you. And our next meeting is the retreat on August 3rd. Trustee Elvin will be chairing that meeting. I will not be able to participate, but I look forward to hearing the outcomes of that meeting. And with that, if there's nothing else,
can you tell me where the retreat is going to be?
the retreat, I believe, is scheduled for, is it going to be?
Retreat is scheduled for August 3rd in person
Right.
at 6 PM here at Oak Park High School.
At the high school?
Yeah.
Can I do Zoom for that meeting?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, our next regularly scheduled meeting is August, I believe, 23rd. And with that, is there any objection to adjourn?
So moved.
We adjourn the meeting at 5:21.